Alright, how's it going, everybody? This is Azbiel, master of the Guild of Legends, located here in the heart of the multiverse. Today I am going to jump into some Kerbal Space Program, but as I get into that, I'm probably going to focus mainly on some of the more terrestrial vehicles, some aircraft and things like that, because, you know, space is difficult and complicated, but we might also try to get an orbit going and some stuff like that as well. So let's go ahead and bring up the game in just a moment here. Let me just get my settings going. Game is a bit quiet on my end, so I want to get that sorted before we jump into it. Let's try to find the ideal settings. That's always the struggle. This should do. All right, let's go. All right, Kerbal Space Program. We're gonna go ahead make a completely new game here. Just gonna go into sandbox and just mess around a bit. We're gonna see how it goes. I know as far as streaming duration goes, I've kind of bounced around a little bit between 2 and 3 hours. We're probably going to go roughly 2 hours, see how we feel then, and consider maybe going a little bit longer if we're really getting into it, but we'll see. So let's check out this spaceplane hangar where we build the vehicles. Yeah, I didn't really come into this with any specific plan about what I want to build. So we're just going to kind of throw stuff together and see what happens. Is that the appropriate... Ah, that is the front. Gonna try to build something real basic here. Just a little aircraft that... not that little. Better? That's better. Just something small that'll get in the air. Let's throw an engine on it. Let's go with this one. It's been a while since I played this game. I used to play it quite a bit and never did much with all the space stuff. Kind of stuck to the ground like I'm doing here. You know, ground and air. Not so much up beyond the atmosphere, however. Alright, I think there are new parts now that I never had before. Like these helicopter bits and such. But that might be a bit big. Or maybe that's the appropriate size. Who knows? We're gonna figure it out. Nah, I like these. I'm gonna try to replicate kind of a design that I vaguely remember having done before. I don't like how that looks. What if we just start over? Let's do the flat thing. Fully just kind of winging it here. Again, no plan, just going. We're gonna get more engines. More engines and more speed. And speed is good. Go fast. Yeehaw. All that good stuff. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to rotate. Gotta bring these more... You know what? Close enough. Let me drop these down a little bit. And do we need... Yeah, we're gonna want something to properly pivot the tail. Maybe that's too big. Maybe a normal kind of a little wing situation. Let's look at the parts. Now, something I liked doing before was like a forward swept wing. Like you do something like this, have the wings go that way. It looks sci-fi and cool. So let's go ahead and do that. And fully in the interest of looking sci-fi and cool, let's see what I can do with these. It's kind of like talon looking kind of a thing. And that's not the right piece. Absolutely no basis in any kind of actual engineering, because I'm not that smart. I don't know anything about any of that. We're just kind of doing what looks cool, because looking cool is what I'm an expert at, obviously. Let's bring these pieces a little bit closer together here. That's not sitting right. Let's see. What are you doing? How unusual. Let's see if we can just kind of manually fix that. Bring it in a little bit like that. And we need what do we need? What am I trying to say? We need some sort of landing gear. So we're going to go ahead to the landing gear area. God, it's been a while since I've used this game. I don't remember how to maneuver the camera and such very well. We're just going to try a small landing gear. And either we're going to have a very narrow base on the landing gear, which might be fine. Let's see if we can make something work with that, with the landing gear out on the edges here. Just bring it down. And those are sitting lower, so we probably want to bring this one back, actually, because it is gonna sit too high. No, that's wrong. Actually, that one being up front is gonna cancel. Yeah, that should work. That's probably fine. What's the worst that could happen? Cool. So, little quick kind of getting back into Kerbal Space Program. We've designed this little thing with forward swept wings and these kind of sci-fi hook situation on the front. And we're going to hope that everything works appropriately. I just want to see. I want to see how these go. You know what? I don't remember how any of that works, so we're just going to launch. We're going to launch, and we're going to hope for the best. All right. And what are my controls here? I got this little vehicle, 2 engines, wings, all that good stuff. Pretty typical. I forgot air intakes. Forgot air intakes, so I need to rebuild this. And just go with the ramp intake. That seems fine. Throw those on there. That's probably fine, right? Should I have air brakes? Let's throw some air brakes on here. Let's give a little carapace of air brakes. And see if we can rotate these better to fit the body. There we go. Is there anything else I need on this? Anything else that I'm forgetting? That's probably good. Let's go. I think the intakes were the only thing that I was missing. I think that's why I wouldn't start. Because the engines need air to run, otherwise they're gonna not have any oxygen to feed through and make it go up in the air and such. Immediately wobbling. That's probably not good. Let's see if it just kind of fixes itself. It does not. Just fully tore itself apart. Let's go back to the hangar. So I think that's what I wanted to avoid with the narrowness of the landing gear. Let's see if I can throw on some sort of... See, these have eject. I don't need them to eject because I'm not planning to drop them. Let's see. What am I trying to do here? It looks ridiculous, but let's slap one of those on there. Let me see if we can bring it down a bit. And we're going to redo these landing gears further out on the wings this time, so that they would hopefully, with any good fortune, they would hopefully make it a little bit more stable on launch. And just let's see, I don't know how sturdy these are going to be with them kind of just attached to the struts like that, so let's add a little bit more structure there. And we're gonna try like this. Could very well be forgetting some important controls or something there. That doesn't seem good. Why? But why though? Well, technically I took off and landed, so sounds like a victory to me. I'm going to assume that happened because I didn't have enough air intake and one of the engines just went out first. Let's see. Did these say how much air they need? Haha! Information. 7.705. If I'm understanding that properly. And these are going to be providing something. Sounds like math that would need to be done to figure that out. I don't know. Let's just see if we can stack more on top. It is the Kerbal way. Let's bring it back like that. Looks a little clunky, but kind of clipping there, but it's good enough. We're gonna go with it. And we're going to hope that that is enough to get the air intake we need. Assuming that is even the problem, which seems like it would make sense that that is. Let's just go full throttle. See if we can get in the air. It's not burning out this time, which is a good sign. And airborne. Aha! I'm a genius. I am a master craftsman and such. I should have assigned a key to this. But I'm in the air now. Jebediah and Bill are probably having a good time now that they're not, you know, exploding immediately. So we succeeded in designing a vehicle. There is one. It is a plane. It does not go to space, but it can do this. Yeehaw. Should have assigned a key to this, but let's go ahead and do this just for fun. This is a bit loud. Let me go ahead and just bring it. I'm gonna go into the settings and bring down the vehicle audio a bit there. That'll hopefully make it a bit easier on the ears. Whoa. So it is very... It whips around a lot if I go too hard on the controls, because it does have all of these surfaces that are all acting together instead of independent for different actions like you would typically see on a normal aircraft. To my understanding, at least. I don't know a ton about aircraft design and stuff, but I know a little bit. Let's see how high this thing will go. Because I don't remember where... I guess it does kind of have a gauge here to kind of show you the status of the atmosphere in relation to your altitude and such, but just looking at the numbers, I don't remember what is what as far as how thin the atmosphere is and such. This thing, it can definitely get up there. It is a cold void of space up ahead. It's yep, just darkness. And you see it is getting weaker pretty quickly the higher I go. Oh no. Oh, that's not good. I think I was still ascending too high, and so they ran out of air intake, and so they couldn't... There we go. Yep. I am struggling with my controls here a little bit. I'm also trying to make it do something it really doesn't want to do, you know, aerodynamically and such. Just try to do a full 180 in the air here, and I'm mostly just dropping. Mostly just dropping through the air. But, you know, I've got enough, I've got enough height here that, hopefully, this engine will figure out how to turn on again, and I'll start getting some speed properly. I don't know. I'm no scientist. I don't know how physics or anything works, but I just like making things that look cool and zip around in this game. Even with the auto turned down, the engines are a bit loud in that setting. So let's see if I can bring it back and do a bit of a landing. I did go quite a ways there, largely because I was very high up and, you know, less air resistance and all that. Less air also, but that's why my engine's shut down. But I went a good ways. I went a good distance there. Let's just try to curve it back towards the Space Center there and see if I can figure out how to land something in this game. I think when I'd played this game previously, I experimented a whole lot with different kinds of vehicles and stuff. Rarely did anything in space, like I mentioned at the start, but did a lot of flying vehicles. Did some hover vehicles using very light propulsion thrusters in the downward sort of direction, and it was really cool to try to do that kind of stuff because they give you all of the tools to do, you know, whatever you want to do. And so I just kind of made some F-Zero machines, some like little Blue Falcon kind of looking thing was one that I made in the past I was really proud of. So I'm going to maybe see if I can do that again one of these times. Now that I've made a plane that can successfully get in the air and fly relatively stably if I'm not too hard on the controls. We'll maybe see if I can do a little F-Zero style machine that is intended to fly low and very quickly. And then maybe after that, if I can make that successfully, we'll see if we can make it hover. Because hovering stuff is neat and kind of difficult to do. I'm coming in a little bit fast here. And I'm way too high. Let's fix that. A little bit off course. This is the most atrocious looking landing, I think. You typically don't want to do that. That's not a good thing to do. You know, bouncing on impact. But what matters is... Oh, that visual effect is really upsetting. What matters is whether or not you can stop it and get out again. Ideally, if you can take off again, but if you can stop the vehicle in one piece, you've done it. That's the goal. So, we've done it. What is all of this? I don't even know why that caught my eye. Yeah, we've done it. We made a plane. It flies. Oh, you know what? I just abandoned it on the runway, didn't I? I need to reclaim that. All right, so we did that first plane. You know, only not even a half hour in, we managed to get one that flies properly, as just as we wanted. So now we're gonna do something. Let's we can go real simple with it and just call it plane 1. And we're gonna start a new one. And we're gonna try this little F-Zero machine type thing, like I said. So we want to keep it incredibly low profile, as small as we can get it, basically, is the goal. We're not gonna have room for a ton of fuel or anything. Can I do anything smaller than this, actually? Shoot, I don't even know. Maybe this might be good. Might be able to give it a little bit of a smaller profile. Yeah, I mean, with a nose cone, that's going to be about the same, but I like the look of it. I like the look, so we're going to go with it. We're going to find... Why won't you attach? He's being real finicky. I think that's more than I want, though. So, let's see. Let's find an alternative. This thing doesn't need to fly a lot. Just needs to fly enough. So if there's like a smaller tank of just liquid fuel, that would be ideal. But I'm not seeing really what I'm looking for here. I'm seeing lower profile ones that do fuel and oxidizer. That's not quite what I want. That's kind of janky looking. Maybe we do go with this. And no, it doesn't fit. I wonder why. I mean, I guess because it's not the part that it's made for, but you know. This is what I want. I want something like this because I want to do 2 engines on this. And shoot, maybe. No, that's too big. That's too big. That's not what I want right now. Or is it? You know what, let's go with that. I'm really kind of bouncing back and forth on choices here, but yeah, see, I think that's kind of the shape we're going for. We're gonna get some crazy engines on this thing. This is this one I think is made to be able to go into space, but also be usable in atmosphere. Not what we're going for here. We want something small and fast. So we're gonna go ahead and put all these on, and we're gonna figure out what kind of wing situation we're gonna need here. We're gonna need something like this, and just kind of without any kind of reference or anything to remember, we're gonna try to go for something that's sort of a blue falcon look to it, and then we're gonna try to figure things out. We might kind of cheat the system a little bit in achieving the look we want, but the style is what it's all about. We're trying to make that very particular kind of a design, and so that is all that really matters. And based on the previous one, we're probably going to need more of these intakes. Let's see if I can just kind of slap it on like that, bring it back, and rotate. Ooh, that's not exactly what I was wanting. There we go. That's kind of funky looking, but it should achieve what we're going for. And it's kind of actually that's probably the best spot for those. We're gonna need something to help us move up. I really don't like how that looks. Is there an alternative intake? I think there is. Maybe I could sneak something in on the bottom. How big is this thing? It's kind of chunky. But with the right use of these, I can kind of hide it a little bit there. And hopefully that'll achieve the intake we need. Still gonna need to figure out how to give this thing lift. It's going to be the real struggle here. Keep that in mind for later. That might be that might be useful. Might be a little bit useful. We need lift and we need vertical controls. How big is this? Let's see. Oops. I think we're gonna go with these same pieces actually. And we're gonna just bring it in. Is this the same one? Yeah, I think that's the same one. I don't know if I like how that looks. I want it to be as low profile as possible. As you know, try to make the actual the vehicle itself not have. I don't want it to look like a plane. I want it to look like this little kind of a space car type situation, which is kind of, you know, how the vehicles in F-Zero, what I'm trying to replicate, are in kind of in that way. So yeah, we're gonna. What's the best way to do this, I wonder? I wish I remember how I did this before, because, like I said, I have done a build sort of like this in this game before, but it has been quite some time. Maybe I do... Yeah, do something like this. One of these parts. Bring it up vertically. Lift it. See if I can more in line with the intake there. And just a notch forward, and then we'll just do our own control surface on the back of that, which that's too big. That's too big as well. So this is the way to go. So kind of do it like that. See if something like that. It's a bit longer than I want it to be, but and I wish I could have the engines more in close. So maybe we go with the smaller, weaker engines. I think they're weaker. That's a bit better. It would be best if I could have them super low profile. Actually, maybe this is the way to go. Don't like how they look. I like a more typical open engine, but this might be the way to get the job done. Then the only thing left is giving it some sort of elevation control. And some vertical control surfaces, which is the part that I was kind of struggling with before. So let's see if we can kind of cheat the system a little bit here. That's too big. I think this is going to be what I'm looking for. And we're going to go ahead and give that some of these. And then we're going to do something incredibly atrocious and unrealistic. Just kind of tuck it in the vehicle itself, which will hide it out of the way, but it will, I think, with the way the game works, I think it'll still provide the benefit of being able to control it that I'm looking for. How do I move this up and down? It needs to go up. There we go. So I think that'll still provide the control and the lift that I need. So the only thing left then is to give it some wheels, which I don't super like the idea of, because I think of these things as being hovercraft sort of a thing. Let's see if I can just rotate these to, whoops, to a neutral position, proper vertical. And bring that in a bit. Let's see if these want to sit lower, so let's not do that. Alright, it's terrible, it's tiny, but it should go. I don't know how much thrust this engine actually provides. It's... oh, it's another one of those ones. That might not be... because that requires... is it... let's see. What's it need? Yeah, okay. So that's not the right kind of engine that we need. So we're going to have to go with the bulkier, bigger engines anyway. So just slap those on there. And that should do it. That might actually be better, but it's way too small. This, however, that could kind of work. It's a little bit lower profile, which is what we're going for. It's a little bit weaker, but that should be fine. Low cruising speed and low altitude, so that's kind of what we're going for. The speeds we want high, but the low altitude is that's what we're working with. I think that's going to be the only way that we can really go. So we're going to see if this thing will take off. Certainly no guarantee of success here, no expectation, but we're going to try. And I don't think our fuel is going to last very long either, because there is next to no fuel in this thing. But hopefully, let's see if we can stabilize. That is way too jittery, but we've done it. We've gotten in the air. It was not a good takeoff. It was rough in every possible way. Almost didn't make it, but we just have to be close enough in Kerbal Space Program. And I sunk it trying to go too low. All right, so it's a start. It's a start. We're not going to be able to make it much more stable, I don't think, without adding some stability assistance, which is something that there is a little bit of in the pod. But I can also add some more control. Wonder if I can do... can fuel flow through these? I don't know. Let's see... that's too small anyway. We're going to need these ones. We're going to hope that fuel will actually flow through these. And ideally, that would give me enough control to avoid that wobbling. And if not, then we'll have to figure something else out. So let's see if we can get a more stable takeoff this time. The takeoff is the goal. If it can do so with any reasonable stability, then that's a success. It looks like the fuel flows through the stabilizers. I am veering, immediately veering. I don't know why. That's... oof. Oh, that's terrible. That is as far from a success as I could possibly get, just about. So let's try this again. You know what I'm going to try to do? It's wild. I don't know how likely it is to succeed, but we're going to try to kind of blow out the landing gear here and see if we can get a wider stance on it. It's going to be... that's actually probably too much. I think I need to bring it in a notch. Because otherwise, that might just tear out the engines as soon as it tilts even a little bit. Let's see, what else could I do to help with this thing? I could perhaps add some RCS thrusters to help stabilize it, but that's not ideal. That's... yeah, let's see if this wider platform will do the trick. All right, and maybe take it a bit slower here instead of going full throttle immediately. Kind of work up that speed a bit. Immediately veering again. Not great. Doing some wild breakdancing. That's not what you ever want your plane to do. All right, let's jump back here and see if there's something in all of this that's kind of throwing it off. Let's, first of all, I would like to see if I can... listen, I can see the part. Why can't I? It's real finicky. I want to see if I can drag these back a bit. Bring back that center of mass a little bit. You're gonna see the control surface there between the engines, but that's hardly an issue. Let's have it peak just a little bit in case we have to adjust it later on. Having that further back will hopefully help with the issues to where the lift isn't immediately on the center. That'll hopefully give it a little bit of help in stability, but this is really just a like I said in the description, we're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. So that is absolutely what we're doing here. Gonna pick up the speed here. It's veering, but it's not... God, it's... I mean... I achieved a short takeoff, I guess, so that's some level of success. That's not... It didn't do it in the way I wanted to. Now, the only thing to make this better would be to find out how to make it smaller. Because even as small as this is, it's not the perfect little miniature racer that I wanted. Let's see what kind of surface speed we can achieve here. Keep making little adjustments that ended up ultimately just slowing me down, adding more drag, but let's see. I think I'm at a stable position here. Speed is growing. If I could get this thing to go fast enough to overheat the core pieces, that would be ideal, but I don't think these engines are going to get me there. I am slightly rising here. Let me tilt it down just a little bit. I want to keep the elevation low. This thing isn't intended as a flyer. It's like a low altitude kind of a situation. And when we go to make a hover version, I might be able to forgo those lift surfaces entirely. Those wings that I buried in the body, because then it'll have engines keeping it up in the air at ideally a fixed altitude, roughly. But we're still gaining speed here, over 500 meters per second. The engines are heating up. That's the first part I would expect to heat up, honestly. It's the part that's doing all the work. Yep, and you can see it's starting to get to that point where it's actually warning me down here as well. that the engines are overheating because I'm just running them too hard at too high of a speed, and they're just not that friction of the air is wearing on them. So we're gonna run this until our engines pop, if we can. Let's see if we can get there. Looks like I'm topping out at about 580 meters per second, 590, somewhere around there. Pretty much kind of bouncing between that 80 and 90, depending on just how things are going. These engines are not looking great. They're about to go. And I do kind of wonder if maybe adding those extra stabilizers is in a way what destabilized the aircraft in the end. And there go the engines, quickly losing speed, and we're gonna see if we can just for fun, we're gonna see if we can bring it down gently in the water here. We're going awfully fast, but there we go. Splashdown that didn't completely destroy the vehicle. We got it flying. Still haven't managed to get a solid takeoff, but we've got something. We've got a good start, at least. Now, there's smaller pieces, so I would... That's interesting. What would you be draining? I don't know. It's beside the point anyway. That's we're here to make a very particular thing, and not wonder what makes stuff drain. What drains things. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. But I do kind of wonder if there's got to be something smaller. Got to be able to miniaturize this thing further. I could always throw a drone box on there, a drone control. Wonder if there's one of these in real small. Doesn't look like it. But this little rover drone body could do the trick. I would just need to keep it powered, which shouldn't be too difficult. But I've already got this. You know what? One thing I would like to do, I would like to try before we go further, is slap these enormous engines on here and see how that goes. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good because it's already an unstable design, but we're going to see if we can do something wild with it. See if we can just really crank up the speed there. I took off the stabilizers on the off chance that those were somehow part of the problem. Immediately, these engines are way louder. They have this cool blue glow. Let's just kick it up all the way and see if we can... Alright, a lot harder to get lift with these, but immediately tearing through the air, completely destroying that high speed of the previous engines. And you can see I have very little control of this thing. When I try to maneuver it, it does not want to go. I'm just a dart that is tearing through the sky. My fuel is immediately just forgotten about. But coming up on triple my high speed of my other build. Trying not to just go careening into the ocean. I have no hopes of even being able to keep this at a low altitude stably because it is just too fast and too uncontrollable. and it is very loud. Let's see if I can get that gentle landing. Me kind of, even just angling the nose up is providing a lot of resistance on it there. So let's see if that's enough. We're hitting that under 300 meters per second, which is, we were somewhere around there before. That must have been a little bit faster, or we just hit a little bit harder that time. Tore off everything except for our landing gear there. All right, that was fun. That was fun. That was too fast. It was too much. But we might have a good middle ground. Honestly, might have a good middle ground with these Panther engines. Keeps it a little bit closer to the low profile I'm looking for without going too crazy on the with the sacrifice, the trade-off of losing some of that speed. But that should also mean I should have an easier time controlling it. The slower it goes, the easier it's going to be to control for the most part. To a certain degree. At a certain point, it being too slow is going to mean I'm not going to be able to control it at all, really, I think. But all right. So this thing has the most atrocious takeoff ever. Starts bouncing around, really threatening to just smash itself into the surface before it ever gets anywhere. But yeah, just like the last one, it's really picking up that speed. It is burning the fuel a little bit faster, but that's, you know, to be expected. And it's a, you know, on the last one I didn't even think to put on SAS. That might have kept it a little bit more stable when I was trying to do things. But if I put it in this mode, it should have the same high speed as the other engine, I think. It's just this one, this engine lets you go between those two settings, depending on how fast you want to burn your fuel and all that. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and bring this down even further, because that's still very loud in that mode. All right, back to normal, kind of typical lower power jet engine, nothing crazy. Have that 500 plus meters per second speed that I was topped out at on the first engines. It really wants to dip down. I think that's because my center of lift is towards the rear of the aircraft. That would be my guess, at least. Again, I don't know these things all that well, but I do. I can make some guesses, whether educated or otherwise. So let's just send this thing careening into the ocean, and we'll go back. All right. So I mean, I was going pretty much full speed there. Main body still survived the impact. So I wonder if these things are a little bit sturdier than they used to be, because stuff used to just tear up the second it hit any kind of surface, whether it was liquid or otherwise, in the past. So I spelled that wrong. Let's try that again. Save that, and we're gonna try this one. We're gonna try to do a smaller frame, a little bit more control on the shape of everything, and see if that'll get us kind of what we're going for. Because we don't want a huge body, but we do need a little bit there. If I could have something half this size, that would be, I think, about perfect. What's in this one? 45 liquid fuel compared to 400. That's, shoot, I mean, even if I did two of these, which would almost be the size of that one, it'd be way less. What can I do? Oh, variants are just for visuals. Yeah, what options do I have here? That's 18. That's a tiny one too, so that's not going to achieve anything I'm looking for. Yeah, I think this is the smallest I can get for standard liquid fuel, which is a shame. It'd be nice if I had a smaller option. Oh, but what about this? What if... Let's see. We're going to go a bit nuts on this one. Going to go crazy with it. And... where was I? I wanted these... That's the wrong one. Where was it? That's not right, but that... Oh, it's got the oxidizer as well. These little 50 unit tanks, if I could do... I don't need to worry about the door. We're here for the speed, not for the practical functionality. Let's bring these forward and in a little bit. We're going to want to... So that's 50... So that's 200 fuel, so that's half the fuel I would have with the bigger tank, but it keeps the lower profile size that I'm looking for. We're actually going to bring these down a little bit, because we are building this with visuals in mind before anything else. Need a much smaller intake. Yeah, that's too big. Okay, so I think that's the intakes we're going to have to do. Shoot, I could even just put engines on those and do something else in the middle. That leads directly to that. You know what? Yeah, let's... Just for fun, we're going to throw some engines on these. We're going to see what kind of nonsense we can put together here. So there's our engines. We're going to need our control surfaces. So we're going to bring these up. That is definitely getting closer to the kind of design I was going for initially. It's got that kind of blue falcon sort of a look to it. That doesn't provide us any upward lift, though. Let's see. Yeah, we need some sort of lift on this. Unless I went right to trying to make this thing... Unless I went right to trying to make this thing a hover vehicle, which I could certainly do that. I could go right to that step. That's a little bit less than ideal. I kind of want those more flat. Let's see. All right. It would be nice if there was a lower profile version of the air brakes, so that I could have it nestled in there real discreetly. But I don't seem to have that as an option. Now, let's see. Is there anything else that I need on here besides landing gear? I can't think of anything else. I wonder if I could get it in the air without lift surfaces. That doesn't make any sense. But what if it's possible, though? You know, actually, I think since we're going with the alternative engines, we'll also do just a smaller main engine. Ooh. Because otherwise our fuel, we're already at half fuel compared to what we were at before, and having the smaller engine is just going to help kind of extend the lifespan of that, especially with these side engines here. The solution would be to trade out this engine for something else that would fill that space and be useful. And I don't know what that would be just yet, unless I did a lot of monopropellant and use that as my hover fuel. I could do that. Let's throw some landing gear on this and see if we can get this in the air, just as is, as kind of a little experiment first off. And go here. We're gonna just do. I wonder actually if we should just do some of these fixed landing gear, keep it real small. So I could do that, but then they would be out in the open constantly, and I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So instead, let's just do real low profile landing gear by bringing it up in the body of the plane. Bring this one forward as much as I can before it sticks out. Yeah, I think that's going to be as good as I can do. This thing is going to be incredibly unstable and horrible, and it's not going to want to go, but we're going to try it anyway. We're going to throw the switch mode on this thing there. You know what? Let's just have a toggle engine on that as well. I'm going to call this machine 2. It's a completely different design, but let's give it a shot. Again, no lift surfaces, so we're just kind of running on a lot of hope that there is any possibility that this thing could get in the air. I'm going to turn off the big engine for the time being and see what we can do with just these small engines. If I need the big engine, I can always turn it on later. This thing is incredibly tiny. Immediately has a problem. Immediately rolled itself to death. Let's try this again. There has to be some way that I can do this without all of these problems. That's the hope, at least. And when I say has to be, there is no basis for that. It's just, again, a lot of hope. We're going to bring that in real close. It's going to be real close to the ground. Yeah, I don't think... Because I do want to have the nose roughly upward, I think. I think that's going to be ideal. I think that might give it the best chance of takeoff. Incredibly squat little vehicle here. We're just going to go all engines, because on the previous design, on the Machine 1, our only takeoffs were at high speed. Just like that. That is disgusting. I hate that. It is atrocious. Speak about hating it. That wheel on the front, that's just disgusting. Can't stand it. Don't like the fact that it's there. But we did, without any proper lift surfaces on the body, just the body of the craft itself, and these kind of rudder-like control surfaces. We got in the air. I have next to no control over it vertically because that is all coming from like the internal reaction wheels and such, which doesn't give it very much ability to actually control itself. We're gonna so turning on this engine made those other ones not have enough air to actually work, but it's giving it the speed. It's giving it the speed that we were looking for. It is a disgusting aircraft with these with this landing gear sticking out and these ones on the sides. But if I was actually, let's bring these back on the line. Let's kill this one. I want to just see what kind of airspeed I can get with just these. I don't think they're active yet. There we go. So it's gonna lose some speed. We're gonna see how it goes. But ideally, it'll get to a speed that is acceptable. However, if it can't take off on just these engines, that's a problem. So we'd have to try it again. But it is a sign that if it can take off with just these, then I can remove this and use that for fuel capacity for the hover engines. The problem with that is going to be when my center of balance changes to be way far forward from the fuel being emptied out. But that is a problem for another time. It's not now me's problem, that's later me's problem. It'd be something to discuss with myself later on. What I could kind of get away from that by having something that's not going to lose mass in the back there, and then stack monopropellant fuel on these. Actually, we're just gonna, because that works roughly, so we're just gonna keep that for the time being. That's the wrong way. I think maybe I do this and do another small engine. And I wonder if there is a structural piece I can put on that would be at more of an angle. Honestly, I could just do this. It's less than ideal, for sure. But instead, let's see if I can do a piece that'll kind of fill that gap a little bit. Honestly, I'm not even sure myself what I'm looking for here. Just something small, but that big around. That's too small. Yeah, one of these donut tanks for some more fuel. Fuel and oxidizer. It's really a waste because I only need the liquid fuel. This would be, that's enormous. Something like that. I could do something like that. Give it 3 engines like that, which you know, that could look all right. And then, you know, I'm not super set on it right now, but you know, maybe it'll grow on me. Let's just make sure these actions are empty. Okay. Then let's just check these. We are gonna need... Do we need... Actually, instead of this, what we can do... This is pretty close to the center. If we throw control surfaces in the center there... I don't know if they need to be in the center with, like, the way the game works, technically, but... logically, we would want those centered. And if I can use that monopropellant as boosters for hover, then I should be able to keep this pretty low profile and pretty quick. So let's try this one. Again, I don't have the proper lift to get it in the air easily, but we just want to see if these engines are going to do the trick to get it airborne. Just give me 1 second here. All right, have SAS on. It's super squat. Maybe that'll help. We'll see. We just need to get this thing up to speed and get it in the air enough that the engines, you know, will keep it aloft. It's holding surprisingly stable, honestly, in this form. Oh, hitting some bumps. That's... Wow, that happened incredibly quickly. I'm missing one of my landing gear and one of my wings just completely sheared off when it hits the light at the end of the runway. But I have a lot more control now that I've added this on there. Because even though I don't have the wings like I did on the first machine, this one is still pretty controllable because it's so small and it's so light that it doesn't need proper lift surfaces to keep it going. What it does need is a balance on the left and right axis there, because it wants to veer left because the added friction, and it wants to dip left because of the added weight. Fortunately, the SAS is able to maintain that for the most part, but if I make any adjustments, it starts veering that way. But hey, that's a successful takeoff, I think. You know, we did it. We did the thing. So yeah, I guess the next step then would be make it hover. Make it take off through its own through engines underneath, rather than in the typical manner. You know, give it some kind of VTOL style situation. Which, to do this, that's... I wonder if I can... Yeah, I can use those to cut the actual thrust, so it'll keep the weight, but then I can balance the thrust downward based on the proper center of mass. Because if I got rid of those engines, it would move the center of mass forward, which means achieving a balance would be harder. Now, keeping it balanced should be made easier with that reaction wheel there. But you never know when you're going to have some issues here. So yeah, I would like to see if we can do it with monopropellant. Ideally, yeah, I mean, I think we're just going to have to start throwing things on here and seeing... Ooh, that's not going to show thrust, though, because those aren't constantly active. So we might have to do it with normal engines. Just very small ones, like these. I think these are pretty small. Yeah. And you can see it's showing up here with this purple bit of information. These are much bigger ones. That's might not even be necessary. Let's see. Oh god, that's straight out. That's not right. There we go. All right. So now let's see. That's pretty close to center. It's not quite, though. And that is unfortunate. Let's see if moving that back and this forward. Nah, tilting those isn't going to make any difference. The problem is, I think... Oh no, okay, they're both on the engine itself, which is good. All right, that might be the best I can get unless I do very careful manual placement. Because I think if I adjust it to tilt it in, yeah, it's gonna throw it off a little bit. But that might be fine. Now, this thing is going to need something to hold it up before it's ready for takeoff. We're going to want to get these on their own thing so I can start them first to get it in the air. And then we're just going to have to experiment to see what is going to be the best way to shoot, where can I put these where they're not going to look terrible? Let's turn all this off for a second. I'll figure out this placement. That's not too bad. Actually, let's just make this one. Go ahead and bring it down and sink it into the body of the craft, which we can do easier back here. We want it a little bit more level there. That way it has just enough stability provided to there we go. That should be good. When they're retracted, they should be out of the way. So now our goal is to... Let me change the name. Why? Because I'm on the wrong... Yeah. 022. So now our test is going to be seeing if the thrust on the hover is balanced, and if it is balanced enough, then figuring out what the appropriate amount of thrust we need is to keep it aloft without sending it rocketing into the air. I'm not even sure if these are going to be enough to bring it up, though. So we're going to see. All right. Now, immediately we're going to want to turn on the SAS to make sure it stays balanced. Click on these engines. And They don't have any oxidizer. Okay. I should have been ready for that. Completely forgot. We're also going to want to check our balance and thrust again. It's pretty good. So we need oxidizer, which I don't think comes alone. But we can throw some of these, like a couple of these on here. And let's just make them white so they blend in a little bit better. Because we don't really want to see them. They're just a requirement, unfortunately. Kind of sink them in here a little bit. You can still kind of see the foil of them, but that's not too bad. Let's see if we can rebalance this a little bit. Doesn't look like we can get a better balance without maybe bringing them closer. So this is the hard part about balancing the hover on this, is that best I can do is going to have it sticking out there like that, which is not ideal, but it's what we need to do. And you know what? Since we're going to have them sticking out anyway, let's have all of those engines stick out the same. Because that should be... that's about perfectly balanced, which is what we want. That is the goal. Bring the thrust back up on these. That way when it's on, then it can go forward when we want that to go. Save the machine and go into testing. We have oxidizer now. Don't know how long that little bit of oxidizer is going to keep us going, but we just need to do initial testing right now. No lift. No lift. Even at full power, no functional lift. So let's just scrape against the ground. Just for fun. Just fully for fun. Bring in those landing gear just because they're giving me way too much friction. And now we're just rolling. We are the wheel now. Oh god, that was terrible, even for a moment. Alright, so that was not enough lift on the hover thrusters, which means we'll need to add more. For that, we're going to want to turn these back on and go back to the engines. Maybe if I just throw... oh, God, I can't see which way you're going. Yeah, maybe if I just throw one of these on there, two of these, rather. Try to go for balance, because these ones are stronger. Why didn't that connect? These ones are stronger, so maybe that would provide enough. I don't like how it looks, but there's not much we can do about it. We can kind of blend them in a little bit better that way. Let's actually see. If I do this... ooh. Yeah, that might be too much of a change if I try to hide those. So let's just go as is and see if we can make this hover work. All right. Take it on. These also need to be activated. All right. Bring up the thrust. Bring up the thrust. It's bringing weight off of the landing gear. That's not quite perfect, but it's enough to get us in the air. Oof. Ooh, ooh, that wasn't good. Okay, so let's go back. I think instead of that big one, if we do 2 of these smaller ones, that might do the trick. Wish there was a better way to do that. Yeah, if we do 2 of these smaller ones, actually, let's see. This is going to be 15.17. These are 1.7. Okay, so that one provides quite a bit more, so we might need to just use these instead, because these things are not getting us there. This is kind of big. I don't want big, but oh, that's enormous, actually. I do kind of like to look at that. Maybe for Machine 3, we'll try something else out. Try some different kinds of engines, because that might not be too bad. Okay, so I think what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to forgo these, and we're going to go to the orange ones here, and we're just going to have to kind of slap it on, see how it looks. And then we'll just have to carefully regulate its thrust output. That's about right. That should do the trick. And we're just going to turn these to the gray version, because I think that looks better. Man, actually, if I could do it all in orange or something, that might not that might not look too bad. That isn't an option, however. Oh, I just had an idea. No, I don't need angles on these. I think they're good as is. I'm kind of thinking, what if I double stack the engines? That's... Once I get the hover figured out, then I can start experimenting a little bit more wildly. Alright, let's go ahead and give these a shot again, and make sure to turn these back up, so that once we're ready to go, we can go. Now these thrusters are providing, like, they're providing a lot more power than the small ones did. So we're gonna just kind of ease into it, like we did the first time with the smaller engines. Now with the gear lifted up, pretty much out of the way, you can still see little bits, like you can see that one, and you can see them in the back here. That's a minor issue. And that's all my oxidizer. Okay, that's a problem. Because those burn out that oxidizer really quickly. Now, if I was loading up on liquid fuel with oxidizer in the tanks, there would be less of an issue, because then I would all of the fuel that I have would be for what I'm trying to accomplish, instead of just some of the fuel. So like, I could trade these out with a bunch of these stacked up. It'd be like, these are 50. These would be like, what, 2.5 of these would make one of these probably. And this thing has, what, 50 I think it was. That's not even the right one. Yeah, that has 50. This has 18. Okay. We're going to completely tear it down. And we're going to try to kind of rebuild instead with these. Which I don't like the look of, but it gets the job done. I think that's a bit more. So let's actually sacrifice a little bit of fuel, because I think we're going to double stack these. How can I duplicate this? I don't know that I can. So I guess we're just going to have to manually build a second stack. And this is kind of what I was muttering to myself about when I was looking at those other engines. If I am doing this, if I'm doing 4 engines... Please, just... There we go. If I'm doing 4 engines on the outside here like this, then I'm not going to need this so much. So I could try to do something else with that instead. Gonna bring it low, not quite that low. I think that's gonna be good. Bring it in 1. Bring it up 1 notch. Gonna need our wing, which just like that. We're gonna need our engines, which are just these little Juno jet engines. Double stacked like that. There's some clipping, but it's fine. You're not really looking into the engines directly too much anyway. So what I can then do is maybe... That's not what I want. Is that really the only option for that size of liquid fuel? Might be. That's enormous. That is also gigantic. Or even bigger. Monopropellant. I don't need any of that. So yeah, I guess maybe we'll just stack a couple of these on there. Maybe just a couple. Give us a little bit more fuel. Do I have something I could throw on to cap that? What could I do? It's not the best solution, but might be the best we got. Actually, I wonder if I could do one of these. Okay, that's not working out kind of how I hoped it might. No, I don't think I want to throw another engine on there. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think it's really going to accomplish anything interesting design-wise. So yeah, I think we're just going to go with that structural kind of cap that I had on there. It's not the best solution, but it's the one that we've got. So we're going to go with it. And then I need to throw some intakes. Intakes are important. That's the big ones. Need small ones. Again, some clipping, but I'm not too concerned with it. That is going to get us kind of the look that I was going for previously. And we've got the reaction wheel, which will cover all of our control needs. So then we just need to find the balance for these thrusters again. And then we should be good to go. I'll want to make sure I don't forget the other landing gear that I need. Turn that one back to that. Bring these up again. Bring these down here. And then landing gear. I do wish I could bring that one further back. That might not be an issue. Angle these out a little bit. I am not at the perspective to be able to do that properly. There we go. Bring it down, out, and bury it in there a little bit. This one, drive it back further. That should keep it out of the way. Hovercraft accomplished. Actually, I was just messing with the stuff, so I want to make sure. Yeah, that still looks good. All right, so this should be good. This, I feel like, it's different, but it's not so different from the last build. So we'll just call that machine 2-3 and give it a shot. We're still gonna have to figure out what the limiter we need is on these engines to where I can just go full power and they'll be I must have added a significant amount more weight because these aren't enough to do it anymore. Let's see. Okay, so now I've got fuel and oxidizer in pretty much even amounts, so it's not enough to keep this thing going for very long, but it's enough to play with a little bit here. So now we're just going to try to figure this out a little bit. I need to add another set of these engines, I think, because I didn't realize I was adding that much weight to it when I changed up the design. But I guess I did add quite a bit more fuel by doubling these up. So let's try to just accomplish this without going too crazy. We'll just add a third set. We have to make sure we're mirrored when doing that. Then we'll just launch like this. We don't need the other engines right now, so we just want to see if we can get this thing airborne on its vertical thrust. And again, that's not quite enough. It is enough that if I tilted it up that way, I could probably launch it like it's a rocket or something. But that's not in the slightest what we're going for. So what we're going to need is going to be another set of these. So let's bring this one back here, closer to this. Another engine. Close to that. That is in line. Was I using all my engines last time? Well, I'm not even sure if I set my stages properly for that last time, but we're gonna see what we can do here. see if this is going to be enough to get us in the air. So it is. About 75%, I think, is what we need. Let's bring it back down. Gently, gently. All right. I don't know why the rear landing gear it's invisible for some reason. That's interesting. But yeah, let's bring this down to 75. I'll try to do that real quick on all of these, because I think that should be what we need roughly to get this thing airborne. If it's giving us a little bit of extra height, hardly matters. It's not our concern. We don't need these gimbaled at all. They just need to push down. That is their entire job. Okay, let's just set this in the hangar, because I thought that because those were mirrored, it was going to set them all that way. But that was not the case. But in this, in the hangar, any adjustments I make to one should hopefully adjust the other one. We'll just check before we go here. Yeah, okay, we're good. We have those set. Landing gear should be good to go. Can I change these? Make these white. That'll... I wish I could get rid of the hazard color on this too. Ah, yeah, it's fine. And then I think I only want these wings to control that, so that should be good. All right. I'm going to give that a save. We're going to launch, and we should be all set then. I should be able to get this hovering. They'll cap at 75%, so that means when I kick my other engines on, those can be at full power with no problem. Let's see, if I have 8 engines at 75%, there's probably some math I could do to figure out like some optimization for these, but not really a necessity right now. Why is it wobbling so much? It's acting like it really is only on the one, even though I know the back ones are there. I just saw them when it deployed. So this is gas airborne. Actually, is way more thrust than I need. These should be locked at... Oh, I set their gimbal limit instead of their thrust limit. That's terrible, terrible. That gimbal should be locked anyway. So that explains why I rocketed up like that. At 75, I should be... I should have pretty much enough to get me going, get me in the air without sending me rocketing skyward. So that should be good enough. I did this once before, I didn't even try. Like, I obviously I was trying, but I wasn't like thinking super deeply on it like I am now. But it just worked out really conveniently right off the bat, and trying to replicate that magic. But it's hard. It's hard to get that perfect balance again. I'll make sure. These... Oh, the thrust limiter was still on these. I forgot to set them properly. Alright, so it's going to take a second for the engines to really kick into full gear. So maybe if I'm dropping these thrusts down to keep these things from launching me up, then maybe I need to bring those in further. Because that's not... It's too strong. Obviously. Because I want to be able to have my main engines at full power. But if I do that, then these things are going to be sending me way up into the air. This is far from the ideal design for sure. So let's revert flight. These engines are way too weak now that I'm thinking about it though as well. So let's... I have an idea for an alternative, which is going to have nothing to do with how I have this set up. These are giving me... Yeah, these are giving me 20 what is that, kilonewtons? Something like that? I don't know. I don't know the measurements of force, but I'm pretty sure newtons are how you measure force, and kilonewtons make sense, I guess. I don't know. I'm not here to be science guy. I'm here to be guy who pretends to know what he's doing when making space cars. So we're just going to kind of bring it in like that, and I want to do another set of those. I think maybe I don't need another set. Let's try it just single engines. I think that works well. Maybe bring it back like that. That looks good, I think. There's a lot of clipping going on here, but that's kind of how Kerbal goes sometimes. You get clipping. I'm gonna have to make sure to turn those back on before I get started, before I actually go to launch. But I do need to check my balance on these again, because I'm gonna need to make slight adjustments here. Bring it back this way. Balance it out. What am I trying to do? Okay, I'd have to fiddle with it some more to get what I'm trying to accomplish here. There we go. That wasn't so hard, was it? Now, I do want to drop these back. Let's try 65. I'm going to try 65 on these and see if that's enough to get us in the air. And the real problem this thing is going to have is having enough fuel to actually last long enough. This is going to be 2-4 because I just changed up some of the design a bit again, so it's a bit different than it was a moment ago. Yeah, the fuel limits really hold me back, but let's see what we can do. Coming up on that 2 hours here, about 10 minutes to go or so. I do want to make this work before we cut it out, and I think I would like to try actually doing some orbit before we go. But why is the landing gear bugging out like that? There should be another landing gear there. Two, actually, on the back that just disappear. Hey, T-Tice, what is up, dude? Good to see you here. I didn't catch when you popped in there, but we've been at some Kerbal Space Program, not doing the space part. We're just, we started with a little plane, now we've moved on to kind of F-Zero style machines, and I've been trying to get this hover system working on this particular build. And I traded out the engines with these more powerful ones so that we could hopefully get some decent speed on it as well. So we're going to see how this one goes. 65, not quite enough. Let's see. Oh, that actually works. That actually works. It's enough to keep me off of the surface when it's going because I can tilt to give some more elevation. And it is fast. It's fast, but it burns fuel like crazy. It absolutely is going to empty out all the fuel in just a second here. Definitely not enough to do a full race with, but I think this kind of speed, 360 meters per second, I'm pretty sure that's faster than the speeds of the machines in the original F-Zero game. I think those things were not nearly as fast as I can make things go in this if I do it like this small, low-profile kind of design. And we're going to crash in the water again. But we kind of accomplished what we were going for. We got it in the air. We have it with the hover engines. The only problem then is the fuel capacity, which there's not really a great solution to unless I kind of cheat some more a little bit by just cramming some fuel tanks into the body that I've already got here. If I did that, well, you know, then maybe we'd have something. Just kind of do one of these maybe, bring it back a little bit, and it gives me a little bit of a situation on the bottom there, but that's not the end of the world, really. The only problem with that is that I would have to account for the balance again, which it's pretty spot on as it is. Then other than that, it's just bringing these back up. Maybe with that extra weight, bringing these up to 75 would be fine. Actually, we're gonna give these inside ones a little bit more power because I was already a bit light on my lift. So I want to make sure there's enough to account for this new tank of fuel as well. Let's go. All right, and let's make sure everything is set. That was bad. Immediately tore itself apart because I was a little too insistent on trying to take off there. So we are going to need some more lift on these. Let's bump these outside ones up to 85 and see if that does the trick. This is absolutely not the appropriate way to test out engines in a high-speed racing vehicle. I think you would typically do some more controlled tests instead of just a live test with the full vehicle, but we're forgoing all the science and math and getting to the fun part, where things explode. Alright, so yeah, I kind of have to cheat the takeoff there a little bit still. But I can, it works. It gets me airborne. This thing wants to nose down pretty bad. Which is not ideal. And I could absolutely fix that in some manner. But we're not going to bother with it right now. Because it is technically functional. And that is the goal. I have run out of oxidizer. Okay, so I must have put a fuel tank that only had liquid fuel in it. instead of one that had fuel and oxidizer, which means that I got more liquid fuel, a lot more than I needed. As you can see, I've got 400 in excess there, but I didn't get the oxidizer to keep the engines running. So that is a problem. That is the wrong engine, the wrong fuel tank to use. It was just the atmospheric fuel tank. That's the one I used before. Actually, one of these ones, not that size. Because of these bits that I have on the outside, I wonder, let me just see how that sticks out a little bit. Nah, we'll just go with a normal round fuel tank, if I can find one. That's way too big. Where is the normal sized fuel and oxidizer tank? That is way too long. It is way too big. Even bigger. That could work. Just shove it in there. Shit, let me... Yeah. So if we do that, then... that should accomplish kind of what I'm going for, and it's perfectly in line with the build already. If I just check my balance, I'm a little bit off on the front here. That should do the trick. Bring these back up. And these are probably fine where they're at. The only thing I haven't solved then is the balance with it tipping forward. But now I have more weight in the back, but the hovers... I could account for that with the hover engines being a little bit forward set. So the takeoff isn't exactly what I wanted. I wanted it to be able to lift, at least, a foot or so off the ground on its own before I started the primary engines. But didn't manage to accomplish that really. And you can see I am burning through fuel like crazy, just this little distance. So even with that added fuel tank crammed in there, like I could keep putting more and more fuel tanks in there, but then the more I do that, the more engines I have to add to actually lift it up, and it's diminishing returns. There's not a good solution on this small of a build. If I had a bigger aircraft, then it would be less of an issue because there's more lift I could add to it. This thing has no actual lift surfaces, which if I did that, I could probably... Well, no, because I don't even really need the lift surfaces with the stabilizer to give me crazy amounts of control like this that are absolutely absurd. So I don't know what the best solution is to really make this thing work for long durations without it being a bigger aircraft. But I think we're good on this so far. I think I'm gonna call this a good enough success for the time being. I think this is fine as it is. So then let's head over to the vehicle assembly building and see about just making a rocket going into orbit. Just aiming to achieve orbit and nothing else. If we're aiming to achieve orbit, then we don't need a parachute. So we can just throw a nose cone on there. That isn't as in line as I would have wanted, but I don't know that any of them are going to be. So we won't worry about that too much. Let's I already forgot which of these is which. These are the smaller ones. That's even smaller. Okay, so this thing is a lot bigger than what I was working with before. It's like the next size up, so I just want something small that I can throw a light engine on. Not quite that light. That might be more than I need. But it'll get the job done. It'll be good enough. And then, you know what? I need throw one of these on there. Get some of these. These ones bigger. Yeah. Call that good. That's probably fine. And I shouldn't need anything for maneuvering an atmosphere on this part. So we're gonna go for a coupler. Decoupler, rather. Too small. Too big. Just right. Alright. Let's lift this thing up a bit. We're gonna just kind of assume on the bigger side here of things, and we're gonna add a lot more rocket than we probably need. If I can find the appropriately sized components in the right shape. Okay. Let's just get a couple of those. Get a chunky looking engine. That's too big. Let's go with mainsail. That seems appropriate. You know, just to make sure we have. No, this should be fine. This should be fine. This should be fine. We're gonna need some fins on here, some control surfaces. Let's go with the deluxe. I like the deluxe. Looks nice. Simple. Should get the job done. Let's go with an extra set though. I'm gonna go with two sets of these. Where did it go? I've lost track of my menu. There it is. Near the top there of that one. And do you need anything else on a rocket? That's probably good, right? Yeah, that's fine. And we're just gonna slap a excuse me. Oh. I was trying to attach it to the wrong part. There you go. That should be more than enough. Yeah. We're gonna try to get into orbit with this thing. We're really gonna hope. I don't know if it's enough. I don't remember how to properly get into orbit in this game, but we're going to try. All right. Now, maybe I should put the thruster first. Okay, that works. We're good. We are airborne. This engine is strong, and this fuel looks like it's probably not enough. I should have probably had a first stage on the outside of this first, instead of going right to the liquid fuel. Like a first stage with some solid fuel, probably to get me in the air, would have been good. Don't remember when the appropriate time to start angling this thing is going to be. So we're just going to kind of wing it. This thing is definitely not going to have enough fuel to accomplish the mission. And I don't even remember well enough how to do this, so we're just gonna hope. There's a lot of hope. Ooh. We're going. It's going, and we're out of fuel. All right. So if I had more fuel, that would have done it. We could have done it absolutely. If I had that first stage, like I'd mentioned, that'd probably be everything we need. So let's take these off. We're going to. How do I want to do this? I'm gonna actually angle these this way. I think that's going to be good. We're going to go ahead and get decoupling again. We're going to do these radial decouplers. Just 2 of them should be good. We'll do it this way. Grab a... That's way too small, isn't it? That's even smaller. That might do the trick. That might be what we need. We're gonna need some cones on the top of these guys. There we go. And might not hurt to just make sure it's strapped in extra good. And let's get these on here. Those will fire. That'll decouple. Then I can fire this, and I can decouple that and fire that. And that should be everything I need to get this thing in orbit. Still got my wings, got the added thrusters. Let's see what we can do. Those are not strong enough to lift this whole thing. Cool. Well, let's fix that. Let's find something that will be strong enough. 'That's 593. These are 250. So that should be plenty. Quite a bit bigger as well. Want to make sure that they're not going to be wobbling everywhere, so let's strap them into the main body here. A little bit better. That should be twice as strong, roughly, so that should hopefully be enough to get us where we need to go. All right. It is lifting off. It had a bit of a drop right off the bat there, but it might be enough to get us where we're going. It is slow going at the start here. It's really struggling to lift all of that weight, but I mean, anything that it provides should be enough, you know, to get us there, because we were pretty close without these extra boosters. So we might not have any option for a return trip, but we didn't plan for it anyway. There is no parachute, nothing to get this thing on the ground safely. All these guys have is if they come equipped with their own parachutes, which I'm not sure if they do. They might have some other kind of equipment on in place of jetpacks. Or in place of parachutes, I mean. They might have jetpacks, which doesn't help in atmosphere. All right, now we're going. We are back to what we started with, and we have about just about 10,000 meters of a head start from the last run. I don't have all of that speed that I had built up last time, but that'll come soon enough. I don't know if I started angling too early or what. I don't know why it's zooming me out so far. And there you can see it is heating up on that exit there. There we go. We're going. We're going. Let's do it this way. This is more in line with the way that I'm looking at it in this perspective. Not going to go for a super high orbit, probably, but any orbit is the goal. This is... Whoa! I've started rocketing towards the Earth. That is not ideal. All right. Well, that's not great. That's going to be 50,000 meters when it gets to the other side. That's... Or when it's on this side, it's only 50,000 meters up. Is a very oblong orbit, but assuming it doesn't crash itself into the surface by coming in here on the lower end, you know, if this periapsis isn't dropping, that's a success. I mean, that'd be orbit. Now, it did drop me out of time warp, I think because of how close I was to the planet. But I do want to see here. Yeah. Periapsis doesn't appear to be dropping. Seems to be rising, which doesn't make any sense. But it's working. We are technically in an orbit. I am really burning against the atmosphere here, though. That's probably not good. But maybe it's fine. Maybe they just, warm up. That's their... these guys are off the planet. So you could consider when they are out here, it's winter for them. And when they're in here, it's summer. And so it just heats up accordingly. That's how that works, I'm sure. That's fine. Yeah, that periapsis is dropping now. That I don't understand why it's changing seemingly in relation to me being further out. Like, why would it be dropping the further away I am? I don't know. Seems stable enough, though. And stable enough is all we need. Just for fun while we're orbiting here. Let's check things out outside. Oh, does he have a jetpack and a parachute? I didn't know they could have both. Let's lower your visor. You're in space. That seems for the best. How do I... There we go. All right, so I can successfully now hang out outside the vehicle. I can do some EVA maneuvering because I am successfully in orbit. Sounds like a win to me. Now, if we really want it to be a win, though, let's go home. We're going home. we're trying, at least. I don't know. Let's see. Can I really need to push against things here to try to get on a trajectory where I would be. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So maybe we just abandon this goal and just leave this guy drifting. The vehicle is 2 kilometers away. It is pretty far out there. Jebediah, in the effort of science, however, your sacrifice is something. It's certainly something. I mean, I'm dropping his orbit here, but it's gonna take a while. So yeah, that's a successful orbit. That was our goal at the end of things here. We built some aircraft. We did a hover vehicle that got us zipping around pretty quickly for a very short duration. And then we built a rocket that got us to orbit. That was every goal that I set out with at the start of this stream. So, I don't know, let's really trying to see if maybe I can make this magic happen. But I also can't time warp while I am using the jetpack. So, yeah, I have to just keep it going at normal speed. Let's try to get this guy back on his planet. This is the only way he could possibly get home unless another vehicle was sent out to grab that one and drag it into a declining orbit with the planet. So maybe that'll be something to try out next time I do this. I think what I will do is I will save this with that pod still out there, still drifting in an obnoxious orbit around the planet. And next time I can try to build something. Oh, the camera just shifted. I just ran out of fuel, I think. Yep, I'm out of fuel. It looks like his lowest point would be like 20,000 meters. Let's see if that's enough to drag him down to the Earth. Because if it is, I mean, he's got a parachute. If he can survive re-entry just as a person, then, you know, maybe let's succeed. That red bar doesn't look good. He did not make it. But we've got the orbiter here. We've got the orbiter. Like I said, Jebediah is gone for now. But next time we can maybe send Valentina, I think the last unique Kerbal, up into that orbit to retrieve that pod. Bring it down with a ship that's got a claw or an arm of some sort on it to grab it and forcefully tear it out of its orbit. But yeah, a little bit over 2 hours, close to 2 hours 20 minutes it looks like, almost 2.5 hours. I think we're going to call the stream here. Go ahead and bring down this audio a little bit, bring up our BGM, transition us over here. I don't know when I'll get back to Kerbal Space Program. It is a lot of fun to play. It's something, you know, just drop into, fiddle around with, trying out different things, or even, you know, coming up with different goals. And there is also like a story mode with like progression that you have to unlock and stuff like that. So maybe I would try some of that stuff later on. But again, I don't know when. What I do know is that so far, next week, we're looking at a Tuesday midday stream, as we've been doing for the last couple weeks, of Nier Automata with special guest Mado. And then on Thursday, we are continuing our new trend of doing some Hunt Showdown. Thursday, 6 p.m. CDT, with special guest Dragon Durant of Yasuhiro 0088. Other than that, I mentioned in the last Hunt Showdown stream yesterday that I've got a project in the works. We're looking at doing some tabletop gaming soon, relatively soon. It's still kind of in the air. We're still figuring things out, but I do want to do a little D&D one-shot at some point in the future here. And then from there, maybe we'll look at doing a more long-term campaign like the one that I am in as a player, run by Dragon Durant again on Sundays. We'll be continuing that as well. I'm not going to be streaming that, but you can check it out on Dragon Durant's channel. You can absolutely find him on YouTube here as well at the Yasuhiro0088 channel. It's pretty good stuff. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. Otherwise, we might have another stream or two next week that I haven't mentioned here. Still in the air, we'll see. Probably going to do another Warcraft on Monday. Still, we're going to see. That one's, it's a bit of a slower paced kind of a thing. Not for everyone, but we might keep it up. Other than that, those of you who have dropped in, T-Tice, and anyone else who's popped into the channel to the stream, appreciate you guys coming by. Anyone who is checking in on the VOD after the fact, you are appreciated as well. And I look forward to seeing you guys all again next time.